The shocking incident that unfolded recently on Stephen Colbert's late-night show has left fans and the entertainment industry completely stunned. Paul Rudd, usually recognized for his calm, light-hearted nature and gentlemanly charm, surprised everyone by walking off the show after a heated and unexpected verbal clash with the host himself. What was meant to be a routine, friendly, and humorous guest appearance turned into a tense and uncomfortable exchange of words that no one had anticipated. The tension started to build when Colbert made a sharp, seemingly playful jab at Rudd's ongoing association with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Referring to Paul as the eternal Ant-Man who can't escape his supersuit, Colbert's words may have sounded like casual late-night humor to the audience, but for Rudd, they struck a nerve. His expressions changed almost immediately. The famous smile faded and discomfort crept onto his face. He tried to play along, but Colbert continued poking fun, not realizing that Paul was growing more and more irritated with every quip. At first glance, it seemed like any other segment featuring a Hollywood star promoting their latest project. Paul greeted Colbert warmly, cracked a few jokes about aging backward, and briefly mentioned his upcoming films outside of the Marvel franchise. Everything was smooth sailing until Colbert decided to turn the conversation into a roast. Do you even know how to act without a Marvel script these days? Colbert joked, chuckling at his own remark. The audience laughed awkwardly, sensing something odd in Paul's body language. Rudd gave a forced smile and calmly responded, "Well, Stephen, I do have other things going on beyond saving the universe in a bug costume." But Colbert didn't stop. He added, "I'm just saying, you've been in the same suit for years. Maybe it's time for a new role, or at least a new franchise." This time, the smile dropped completely from Rudd's face. His eyes narrowed ever so slightly, and his tone became sharp. "And maybe you've been sitting behind that desk for too long telling the same old jokes," Rudd shot back. The crowd gasped, and for the first time in years on Colbert's show, silence filled the room. What was meant to be lighthearted banter quickly escalated into uncomfortable territory. Paul Rudd clearly wasn't in the mood for jokes that undermined his career beyond Marvel. He leaned forward and told Colbert that these constant references to Marvel roles were tiring and dismissive of his broader work. "I've done theater, comedies, dramas, but people like you reduce my career to just one thing," Paul said, his voice carrying frustration and disappointment. Colbert, surprised at Rudd's sudden seriousness, tried to laugh it off, saying, "Come on, man, it's late-night television, it's all fun." But Rudd wasn't having it. He sternly replied, "Maybe it's fun for you to reduce an actor's whole career to a costume, but not for me." The audience watched in complete shock as the friendly atmosphere turned sour. Colbert shifted in his chair, attempting to smooth things over, but the damage had been done. Paul's disappointment was clear, and the mood in the studio grew dense with tension. Stephen Colbert tried to rescue the situation by changing the subject, asking about Paul's family life and his personal projects. But it was too late. Paul interrupted and said, "You know what, Stephen? This isn't the first time. Every time I sit in this chair, it's the same old Marvel jokes. You think that's the only thing I've done in my career?" His voice rose slightly, startling both Colbert and the audience. "I've worked my ass off for 3 decades in this industry, and I've done more than just wear a superhero suit," he continued. Stephen replied cautiously, "Paul, you know it's all in good humor, right?" But the words felt hollow. Paul looked directly at him and said, "Good humor stops being good when it becomes a running joke at someone else's expense. I'm not here to be the punchline again." The production crew exchanged worried glances backstage as the confrontation spiraled further out of control. The tension was now so thick that the audience barely moved. The awkward silence was broken, only when Paul suddenly stood up, removing his lapel microphone. "Maybe I don't need to sit here and take this tonight," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. The entire studio gasped in disbelief. Colbert tried to de-escalate the moment by joking, "Paul, come on, don't be that guy. Sit down. Let's make this right." But Paul was done. He held the mic in his hand and said, "For once, I'm going to do what every guest probably dreams of doing when this chair becomes a roast seat. Walk out." Without another word, he placed the microphone on the desk and calmly walked off the set. The studio fell completely silent. Even Colbert sat frozen, unsure of what to do next. The cameras cut immediately to a commercial break, but the damage had already been done. In that moment, Paul Rudd had broken the unspoken late-night code. Never walk out in the middle of a show. As soon as Paul Rudd left the stage, chaos erupted behind the scenes. The producers rushed toward Colbert, asking how to handle the unexpected. Zit. Meanwhile, the audience sat whispering among themselves, trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed. Within minutes, social media exploded with live tweets and posts from viewers who couldn't believe what they'd seen. Hashtags like #Paul Rudd walks out and #Colbert clash began trending worldwide. Rumors started flying that this wasn't the first time Paul had been unhappy with Colbert's jokes about Marvel, but this time he'd finally snapped. Backstage sources later revealed that Paul had expressed concerns before the taping about avoiding the same tired jokes about Ant-Man. Apparently, his warnings went unheard. Now the result was a public confrontation that would be replayed and analyzed for days, if not weeks to come. In the hours that followed, both camps released official statements. Paul Rudd's spokesperson claimed that the actor had simply grown tired of being typecast and publicly belittled for his role in the Marvel franchise, despite having a diverse acting career. Paul believes he deserves to be recognized for the full scope of his work, not just one role, the statement read. Meanwhile, Colbert's team defended the host, insisting that the jokes were made in good spirit as part of the show's lighthearted format. Stephen meant no offense to Paul or his career and regrets that the remarks were taken the wrong way, their statement said. However, the damage was done. Fans on social media fiercely debated which side was right. Some accused Colbert of being disrespectful. Others called Rudd overly sensitive. The internet had split into two camps, each defending their celebrity of choice. Hollywood insiders began speculating on the potential fallout from the confrontation. Would this affect Paul Rudd's reputation as one of the nicest guys in the industry? Would Colbert's show lose favor among A-list celebrities reluctant to appear after such a public disaster? Some public relations experts argued that Paul's walkout could harm his likability, making him seem less approachable and easygoing. Others thought this bold stand would earn him respect for refusing to be mocked any longer. Meanwhile, rumors circulated that Rudd might cancel upcoming interviews or promotional appearances, fearing a media circus following the incident. There was even talk that Colbert's producers were scrambling to book other big names to divert attention from the disaster. No matter how both sides spun the narrative, the entertainment world knew this confrontation would not fade quickly from public memory. As the dust began to settle, reports surfaced suggesting that legal teams from both sides had been contacted. Some sources claimed that Paul Rudd wanted a formal on-air apology from Colbert before agreeing to future appearances, while others hinted that Colbert refused, arguing that comedians must be free to make jokes without fearing guest backlash. Negotiations were said to be tense and complicated. Meanwhile, fans continued to speculate whether the entire drama had been staged for publicity, but insiders close to the production confirmed the clash was entirely genuine and unplanned. Adding to the drama, clips from the unaired portion of the show began leaking online, showing Rudd's frustration and Colbert's failed attempts to smooth things over. Viewers devoured every second, dissecting body language and tone for clues about who was truly to blame. In the end, the confrontation between Paul Rudd and Stephen Colbert marked a rare, raw moment in the world of polished late-night television. Both men's images were changed, perhaps forever. Rudd, once the unshakable nice guy of Hollywood, now appeared to have a limit to his patience, a human breaking point that fans had never seen before. Colbert, the seasoned host known for handling celebrities with charm and sarcasm, found himself criticized for pushing a guest too far. Whether the two will reconcile remains uncertain. Behind the scenes, their respective teams are said to be working on possible resolutions, including a future guest spot where apologies could be made, on or off camera. Until then, the world watches and waits, captivated by the rare drama that unfolded not in a movie but live, unscripted and shockingly real.